So let me ask you this. T.O., Huggy Bear has a chance to get this team into the NCAA tournament. If he does, is this the kind of time where you want to say, look, man, you're getting up there in age. You got a chance to make a little bit of a run here. The Big 12 ain't getting any easier when they add Houston and they add BYU and they add Cincinnati. Is this the time for him to kind of waltz off into the sunset and to be able to enjoy his time without having to worry about coaching some guys and coaching a team and trying to put together stuff out of the transfer portal?
I don't like predicting when guys are going to retire because guys like Bob Huggins and Jim Boeheim, like they've earned the right to be able to just tell us when they're done. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
if he wants to take off and do that, I mean, I could see that making sense. But at the same time, say they win tonight, they're 17 and 13 and 6 and 11. So
It's over.
is that
72-69. West Virginia
okay?
goes into Hilton Coliseum, picks up the win. They are 17 and 13 on the season, 6 and 11 overall. They were in a playing game team before this win. This is the kind of win, a road game against a top 25 net opponent that can bump you up the ratings. I think West, look, they're going to get in. They might even get
Yeah,
in
they'll
if
get
they
in.
lose their next game. Like, I think that they're in pretty much. Don't lose two in a row. Win one more game, either at the end of the regular season or the start of the Big 12 tournament. And I think that they are in. I'm
I
sorry. Go
think
ahead.
they're in, but to say that he's going to go off and like blaze of glory and all that stuff because they got to the tournament, I'm not sure this is. Bob Huggins has had serious success, like
Mhm.
Final Four runs, all this stuff. Like, I'm not sure this would qualify as one of those, you know, walk into the sunset moments. If he wants to go, go. But I don't think that would be a reason to do it.
Mhm. What do you
Yeah.
think? What do you guys make of Iowa State right now? We kind of teased this a little bit. Like, I'm very concerned about this group. I think that they were playing a little bit over their heads at the start of the year. They don't. We talked about Virginia not necessarily having a pro, right? Like Iowa State doesn't. They don't really have anything that scares you on the offensive end. TJ's defense can really mess people up, and I think when you get in the tournament and people haven't seen that kind of like no middle overplay, like all the stuff they do in the Big 12, it might be able to mess people up, Laval. But I'm kind of worried about this team.
Now, I think it's a byproduct of this. When you're seeing league opponent, like the Big 12 plays a true round robin. So when you're seeing teams the second time around and you're already limited offensively, they've got a scout. So Virginia's struggling. They don't play a true one, but when you have offensive struggles, it's hard to score points, especially in league play, especially on the back half of league play when people have a better feel for who's on your roster, what your strengths are, and what they need to force you into. So when you do have those high level, prospects, the NBA guys, the really good, you do better late, especially late in the conference season. And that's just, you see teams like Iowa State, Virginia struggling here, Rutgers struggling here because they started off well. Their defense could carry them, but on the second half of league play, you need to be able to put some points on the board, and that's hard, especially if you're down a guy, if you have an injury or things like that.
How much does it help getting out of league play, Tio? Where everyone knows there's no secrets in this conference anymore. When you kind of get into a little bit of uncharted territory, maybe people aren't as prepared. I do think it's fair to say, and correct me if you disagree, that it's kind of difficult to prepare for that no middle defense if you've never seen that no middle defense.
Especially with that size that they have.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a lot of size around the perimeter too. It's hard for other teams when they see that kind of, length and physicality, especially if they're going against, I don't know, arbitrary. I'm guessing they'll be a first four team. So if they're playing against, I don't know, whatever school, maybe they haven't seen things like that to that level, right? I think their size and the fact
Yeah.
that they rely on their physicality defensively, that's going to throw teams that aren't in their conference off a little bit. I think that's fair to
And
say.
that scheme, TO, is hard to simulate in practice. And
Right.
that's the thing. Like when you're playing against a Press Virginia or an Iowa State and they do something that unique, it's hard to really truly simulate it in practice. So the first 8 minutes of the game is, you're adjusting, it can hit you.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.